So we are just a couple of days away from the official release of Destined Rivals. We're getting really close now. But in this video, I wanted to show you guys the set value of Destined Rivals, where it currently stands, the prices of some of the cards, what things have changed. I know it's still early to really know 100% where prices will be for cards and products because really, after a couple of weeks of the set being officially released, we'll really kind of know where prices will stand because in history, 2 weeks is usually sort of the point after that where we can tell where a set is going to go. For example, Journey Together, after, the set released, a couple weeks later, usually a couple of weeks, is sort of the time frame from people flipping, scalping, whatever. That Journey Together obviously kept falling off, and there was obvious signs of that happening literally just after the first week. It was pretty obvious that Journey Together was going to keep going down in price. But we look at some other sets like Surging Sparks. After a couple of weeks, prices went down because all the scalping, flipping, whatever. But after a couple of weeks, it started to go up, and it kept going up. Prismatic, a little bit of a different situation, but sort of a similar thing happened. ETBs were 150 when it was released. 2 weeks after, they dropped all the way to like $100. But then after 2 weeks, they quickly went up to 140. But then obviously recently have gone down because of restocks. So usually 2 weeks after a set's release, we'll really know where a set is going. But I just want to keep you guys updated and show you guys how expensive right now of a set Destined Rivals really is. So booster boxes right now are still $260. They've been at this price point for a pretty long time now. I've said previously, I think it's possible for this box to go down to like 220, 230. I think that's very possible. That means it'd probably go down like 10%. But we'll see how strong this holds up. Journey Together obviously dropped a ton after being released, but it's a little bit different. Journey Together was a smaller set. Journey Together pretty much did release exactly at this price. But it continued to go down, and now Journey Together is at 200. I told you guys previously, I don't think Destined Rivals is going to be as cheap as Journey Together. The chase cards are more expensive and they're more sought after, and just overall Journey Together, I don't think it's as comparable of a set to Destined Rivals. But we will see where prices go for booster boxes. But I don't think they'll get that cheap like Journey Together. I have heard pull rates for Destined Rivals is not that bad. Let me know if you guys have had any experiences that are different. But I've heard that Destined Rivals pull rates are not terrible. But let's move on to what I want to get here with the prices of the cards, because it's pretty surprising how expensive the set is. But like I said, obviously these prices are not very accurate, but it shows us kind of a gauge of where the set is probably going to be at. So here's just to show you guys what's in the set. If you don't know exactly everything in the set, I'm just going to scroll here just so you guys can see all the cards. As you can see, a lot more IRs than Journey Together. Journey Together, I think, only had like 12 or 14, something like that. This obviously has a lot more. There's some full arts here, some supporters, and Journey Together, I think, only had 6 SARs. This has 8, so it has a couple more. There's also a couple of SAR supporters and some gold cards, and yeah, this is, I think, the ETB promo. So those are the cards in the set. Now let's just look at how expensive a set this is so far. So as we can see here, Destined Rivals, you can see the total set value is $3,500. Now, I did cross-check all of these prices listed here. They are pretty accurate. I went on eBay and checked recent sold listings, and all these prices pretty much check out. So they're all pretty accurate. And yeah, so I believe this total set value is pretty accurate, at least for the time being, till this day. Now, Destined Rivals, like I said, it's not going to be released here until a couple of days, and prices of cards are going to change. So prices for these cards most likely will be going down. So this price of $3,500 obviously is inflated, but it gives us sort of a gauge of how expensive a set is, because a lot of sets in the past, even like Journey Together, it was it was like what, $250 a booster box, 260 at the beginning, and the total set value, I believe, was never this high. Obviously after time went on, it did go down. Price of cards, I think the set value dropped in like half. In the booster boxes dropped like $50. But still, with the set value, it was nowhere near where Destined Rivals was. So even with Journey Together obviously being that expensive for the booster box, and card prices going down that much, it was never as expensive as Destined Rivals. So I feel like Destined Rivals, the fact that it is $3,500 right now and Journey Together was never that expensive, it just is more of an indication, at least to me, that prices for the booster boxes will not drop as dramatically as Journey Together, because I really don't think Destined Rivals cards are going to drop exactly in half. But even if it did, let's say theoretically, the card prices all across the board, just on average, they dropped in half, right? Like Journey Together, which I don't think is going to happen. But let's say theoretically that's what happens. So that means the total stat value would be $1,750 roughly, right? Because it's around $3,500 total set value. So let's put that in a theory that everything drops in half, which, like I said, don't think it's going to happen, but let's just say it does. $1,750. Let's look at all the other main sets so far in Scarlet and Violet and see their total set values. So Scarlet and Violet base, $560. Obviously, nowhere near Destined Rivals, even if prices of the cards dropped in half. Paldea Evolved, one of the most expensive main sets. As you can see here, total set value of $1,100. Still, $600 difference from Destined Rivals if you cut in half. Obsidian Flames, less than $300. Obsidian Flames, talked about the set, kind of, besides the point of this video, but I've talked about how the set value is so low compared to the booster box and how I think it's kind of insane how expensive the booster boxes are. But yeah, very low set value. Next, Temporal, $800. Not too expensive, not too cheap, sort of in the middle. Twilight Masquerade, about $1,000, still pretty far away from $1,750. Stellar Crown, under $500, pretty cheap set. Surging Sparks, this is the biggest one because this is the most expensive main set so far. You can see total set value of $1,250. Still, if we cut Destined Rivals prices in half, still Destined Rivals is ahead by like $500. In Journey Together, obviously this set has dropped a lot in value. At one point, it was around like $1,500. It's dropped pretty much in half. So, like I said, going back here, theoretically, if Destined Rivals dropped as much as Journey Together, which I don't think is going to happen, it would still be way more expensive than any other main set. So it just goes to show how expensive Destined Rivals is. If I had to take a guess of the total set value, and this is just obviously without any really information, but just some sort of guess, I would think prices for the set are probably going to drop to around $2,000. If I had to take a guess based on the pull rates and hearing that it's not terrible, I'm looking at Journey Together dropped in half, and Journey Together obviously is way less of a hyped up set. I think this could probably drop to $2,000. Now I don't know exactly percentage drop that is. Let me just see that here. 1,500 divided by 3,500. That'd be about a 43% drop, so almost like 50% drop if it went down to $2,000, which I think is possible. It may not drop that low, but that's what I think is realistic. Just by looking at where the card prices are and looking at Journey Together, I don't think it's dropping as much as Journey, but I do think it will drop a decent amount based on what I've seen with people saying that pull rates are not that hard. Which honestly, Destined Rivals, if pull rates are not that hard, we will see prices decrease a good amount, and depending on Destined Rivals, and we'll see what the product price is. Product prices may go up or down because of that. Journey Together, because pull rates were so easy, obviously sold product went down. But if Destined Rivals, if the pull rates are really easy, we may see the same thing. But we will really just have to see after the first couple weeks what really happens. But just looking at this number right here, looking at Destined Rivals, I think it still is going to be the most expensive main set by far in Scarlet and Violet. And we'll just have to see what happens to the prices because, like I said, pull rates really are not that bad. Even though this is a very expensive set, if time goes on, a lot of people open stuff up. We may see car prices go down and possibly maybe sold product, but we will see. So that's all I want to show you guys here. Just want to show you how expensive Destined Rivals is, and even if you cut the total set value in half, it would still be more expensive than every other Scarlet and Violet main set. So that's all I want to show you guys here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.